All right, so ARK Invest and Cathie Wood have made some pretty bold predictions over the years, from market crashes to Tesla's stock price to Bitcoin to genomic stocks, and many of these have actually come true. So when she starts to say that they're dumping tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars of a specific sector of stocks, well, it's worth taking a look at. And recently, ARK Invest in their Big Ideas presentation for 2021, 2020, and over the last couple of years have always been betting big on autonomous driving, on electric vehicles, crypto, genomics, and a couple of other key ideas that they have never strayed away from. However, now she's been dumping hundreds of millions of dollars in a couple of key stocks that we thought she would absolutely never sell. And so it's important to take a look at exactly why she's selling these stocks and which stocks she are selling. So today's video, we're going to go over first exactly what Cathie Wood and ARK Invest are warning about. After that, we're going to talk about why they are specifically selling, what stocks they are selling, and at the end, we're going to go over where they're putting this new capital to work, because they sold off hundreds of millions of dollars. Where has that money gone? And they've been focused on two specific stocks as well. In addition to this, at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about surprising news coming out with regards to ARK Invest and Tesla, and ARK Invest and Palantir. So if you enjoy this sort of content, well then please be sure to like the video. If you're new, please be sure to subscribe. And if you don't already have the public.com investing app, make sure to go ahead and follow me on that. You can buy stocks, sell stocks, and see exactly what I'm buying and selling in real time, as well as a full portfolio breakdown. Think of it like an investing app combined with social media. It is completely free to follow me. Use the code Michael when you sign up, and you'll get up to $50 in a free stock. But anyways, let's have a quick chat about what ARK Invest and Cathie Wood have been warning investors about, and how a lot of people are doing the exact opposite of what they are saying. But anyways, ARK Invest, Cathie Wood have warned of a valuation reset in Chinese stocks amid all of the crackdowns coming from the Chinese government. And this has been no surprise, because over the last couple of months, we have seen, starting in November of 2020, when Alibaba's co-founder Jack Ma disappeared, there was a crackdown on Alibaba's stock, and the stock has never been able to recover since then. Ever since November of 2020, the stock price for Alibaba has been relatively flat, even dropped, despite them having exceptional numbers over the last couple of months, and despite the company doing extremely well. At one point in 2020, they were as high as $320 per share, but ever since the Chinese government has gotten involved, put a magnifying glass over the company, and put some restrictions into place, the stock has never been able to recover. And so we have seen this been going on since November of 2020, and really throughout decades, but it's coming to attention more over the last couple of months. And ARK Invest right now has warned investors that the major Chinese companies are losing value amid anti-monopoly and data security crackdowns by the Chinese government. Specifically, she wanted to address what happened with Didi, which is a Chinese ride-sharing app similar to Uber, but a lot bigger. Didi has about 550 million users, and Uber has about 100 million users, mainly because China, much bigger population than the US. But either way, this has come to the forefront recently because of what has happened with Didi. The Chinese government came out, targeted Didi for data security, data privacy, and what happened was the Chinese government just took Didi and their app off of all the app stores in China, and so it basically just halted all operations for the company. Yes, if you already own the app, you can still use it, and if you are driving, you're a driver for the app, you can still do it, but it prevented the company from getting any new users or really growing at all, which is a major concern for investors in a company. If the government can just say, look, we don't want you listed on any app stores, we're going to prevent you from getting any new business, that's a huge problem. So that is why ARK Invest and Cathie Wood has come out recently and said that she doesn't think these Chinese stocks, the big Chinese tech stocks, are going to bounce back anytime soon. So recently, she has been selling off JD.com, Baidu, Tencent, Alibaba, and many more. And some of these don't even make up positions in their ARKK, their flagship fund, anymore. In February of 2021, Chinese tech stocks made up about 8% of ARK Invest's entire portfolio. Now it's down to 1%. To imagine, that is billions of dollars that have been taken out of tech stocks by ARK Invest, and that's a really big deal, making up almost 10% of a portfolio, now down to 1%, simply because of regulations with the Chinese government. That shows you how strong her conviction is that these stocks really are not as attractive as they used to be. So we'll see what happens, but one of her main concerns is that she said in terms of these very large mega cap companies being able to scale to other countries around the world, she has a feeling that they're really not going to be able to do that. Once we saw Didi list in the US, on the US stock exchanges, then we had this major concern about data privacy from the Chinese government. Once we have seen stuff with Alibaba, JD.com expanding elsewhere, there always becomes issues with data security with the Chinese government. And so she thinks that all of these mega cap stocks in China are going to have a lot of trouble expanding overseas, growing their business, because the Chinese government is going to step in, get involved, and prevent them from growing. And we all know this is the case. If China wants to step in, make a company a state-owned company rather than publicly traded, they can do that. If they want a company to succeed, they can make it succeed. If they want it to fail, they can make it fail. We have seen clear examples of this with NIO, how the Chinese government has been pouring billions of dollars into NIO. We have seen clear examples of this with Alibaba, when the co-founder of Alibaba came out and said something that the Chinese government didn't like. They basically caused the stock price to crash. So having the Chinese government being a risk, it's always been there, but it seems like it's getting more intense recently, and it's definitely not going to go away anytime soon. Despite Cathie Wood and ARK Invest coming out and saying that they're getting out of Chinese tech stocks, we have seen investors pour into them. We have seen them do the exact opposite. For example, with CraneShares CSI China Internet ETF, about $5 billion poured into this ETF over, this ETF is worth about $5 billion. We saw record inflows for 2 days in a row over the last couple of months. We have seen record inflows ever since Cathie Wood and ARK Invest have said that they are getting out of them. So investors don't seem to be too worried, but me personally, I've owned Alibaba for a while. I've owned it since it dropped back in November of 2020, and I thought, you know what, this would be a great time to buy it because the company is great. It dominates, and has like a monopoly in China. It's a great company. But then the problem is there's always that risk of regulations and the Chinese government. And so since November of 2020, Alibaba has never bounced back, even though the company's been doing great. So when people are pouring money into, for example, CraneShares CSI China Internet ETF, which represents a lot of Chinese tech stocks, it gets to be a little concerning because the Chinese government, in my opinion, is never going to ease up all these restrictions on the companies. I don't see it happening. I only see it getting worse. So something just to be a little bit wary of, a little bit, to keep an eye out for moving forward. And I know a lot of people who don't want to invest in Chinese companies because of the issue with the Chinese government. Because at any moment in time, the government can step in and say, we don't want this company to be publicly traded. We want to make it a state-owned company. They can come in at any time and say, you have to stop operations, basically like what we saw with Didi, where they had to take their app off the App Store. So that's a big risk, and some people are willing to bear that risk. Other people are not. Cathie Wood decided, you know what, time to get out of this. And recently, the couple of stocks that they have been getting out of in particular are Baidu. Baidu right now for ARK Invest is only in their ARKQ ETF. It used to be in a couple other ones as well. For example, Tencent used to be a major position in their entire portfolio. And over the last couple of weeks, even, ARK Invest has sold off millions of shares of Tencent. You can see on July 6, 2021, they had 2.8 million shares of Tencent. Then on July 15th, less than 2 weeks later, only a week and a half later, they had 800,000 shares. They sold off 2 million shares in a matter of 9 days. In addition to Tencent, in addition to Baidu, we are seeing the same thing happen with JD.com. JD.com used to be a big position as well, and now you could see all red. They had 2.7 million shares of JD.com on July 6th. Now they've sold off about 100,000 shares in that one. In total, they've sold off about 1 million shares of JD.com. So those three are three that used to make up major positions of ARK Invest portfolio, but now they are selling them off and moving the funds elsewhere. And many people are wondering, like, where are they moving the funds to? Like, they have all this money now, where are they putting the money into? And so that brings us to what I want to talk about with two particular investments, two particular stocks that ARK Invest has been putting more money into recently. The first one is going to be with what ARK Invest has been doing with crypto. So ARK Invest has been pouring tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars into crypto, into two specific plays recently. The ones are Coinbase, which ARK Invest bought about $15.5 million in a single day, just the other day of Coinbase. And right now, over the last couple of weeks, while they've been selling off tech stocks, Chinese tech stocks, ARK Invest has added millions and millions of dollars into Coinbase. You can see just in their ARKK ETF, they had only 2.9 million shares of Coinbase on May 20th. Now they have 3.9. They've added 1 million shares of Coinbase over the last month and a half to 2 months. And they're consistently adding to Coinbase. They're also consistently adding to GBTC. GBTC is Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and they've been adding a lot to this recently as well. When you look at the charts, they had 7.5 million shares of GBTC on June 18th, and now they have 8.5 million, a million shares added of that. So this is where a lot of their capital is going from Chinese tech stocks, moving a lot into the crypto world. So personally, what I see going on right now with ARK Invest is that a lot of people have been concerned about crypto, Bitcoin, and like environmental concerns. Cathie Wood has come out recently and said that she believes that Bitcoin is actually going to be great for renewable energy, sustainable resources, because the couple things about Bitcoin is that she says there is nothing better than Bitcoin in terms of ESG because it's completely transparent and people are going to be pushing more towards renewable energy resources, sustainable resources for Bitcoin, and they're going to do this faster than they would have if Bitcoin mining didn't exist. She said if Bitcoin mining didn't exist, we would see this probably take years and years to play out, when now it's going to be much more condensed timeline because all these Bitcoin miners are going to be looking for more energy efficient ways to mine Bitcoin, meaning that they can make more money. So that's what she sees about Bitcoin. People have concerns about energy consumption. She doesn't seem to have that. And then lastly, I do want to talk a little bit about two things with Tesla and ARK and Palantir. So first thing is with Palantir. Right now, people have been talking about ARK Invest selling 700,000 shares of Palantir. I see these articles all the time. And I want to talk about this because it's really just a lot of FUD, fear being spread in the market. FUD is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it's really just a lot of fear being spread because ultimately, when you see articles like this, ARK Invest sells over 700,000 shares of Palantir. Like, do you know how many shares they own? These people just forget about the fact that ARK Invest still owns over 26 million shares of Palantir. So selling 700,000 shares is really not a big deal. It's just that they need to rebalance their portfolio. Rebalancing takes place all the time. They're an actively managed ETF, so they're constantly buying and selling, and they have to make sure that they don't own too much of one individual stock. So when they own 26 million shares of something, selling 700,000 is less than, it's a very small percentage. It's a couple percent that they're selling. Not a big deal. So I want to talk about this because when we're seeing articles come out that ARK Invest is selling Chinese tech stocks and warning about those, that is completely valid because they are selling off millions and millions of shares of some major Chinese tech companies, and their total portfolio has gone from owning 8% Chinese tech stocks down to 1%. That's a big deal. But when we see articles like this about Palantir selling 700,000 shares, yes, it's a lot of money, but relative to how much they have, it's not a big deal. And then the other thing going on with Tesla, I also want to talk about this because I've seen lots of videos, lots of people come out and say that ARK Invest has sold Tesla. And yes, they sell Tesla, little bits of Tesla every once in a while. Same reason why they sell Palantir. They own a lot of Tesla, they own a lot of Palantir, and they need to constantly rebalance their portfolio. So yes, we have seen them sell off, what is this, about 70,000 shares of Tesla in their ARKK fund over the last couple of days. But in the big scheme of things, even though they sold off 70,000 shares, they still own over 5 million shares of Tesla. So it's the same exact thing. You know, when you're actively managed ETF, you need to sell off positions. So just always be careful with information like this, where you see they're selling Tesla or they sold $700,000 of Palantir. Always be careful with that because a lot of the time you have to make sure you look into the actual numbers, figure out, well, is this a significant amount or is it just a small portion to what they actually own? A lot of the times with these articles, they're just trying to make these headlines to get people to click on them, when in reality, there's nothing to worry about because they're simply just rebalancing their portfolio. So just always keep that in mind. Make sure to look into the numbers a little bit. One platform that I like to use, this is not sponsored, this is nothing to do, I just like this platform, is Lucid Tracking. You can see exactly what ARK Invest is buying, what they're selling. You also can see what stocks are potential short squeeze stocks, and also what U.S. Senate and congressmen are buying and selling. There's a whole list of exactly like Nancy Pelosi. She bought $1 million to $5 million of NVDA, or, you know, all these other representatives and senators as well. So we can see all this, and it's a platform that I find pretty useful. So let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to like the video, subscribe. Also, make sure to join us every single day for our live streams on Patreon. We go live every single day, 9 a.m. on Patreon. Also, we are going to start posting daily videos, exclusive content there as well. So I think I'll do about 1 live stream, 2 videos a day on Patreon. It helps support the channel, helps me out, and helps me keep making videos like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.